Welcome to the November 9th, 2017 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
Yeah. Lotus Prince.
Man. Not knowing how to emphasize the right parts of your sentences.
The wrong emphasis and the wrong syllable.
Yeah, seriously. But anyway, so this week I wanted to go over what I thought was a better, larger topic for Reactive, and I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking about this at this point in the week. But Pyro and I separately saw Thor 3 Ragnarok.
I'm always with you.
Aw.
Spirit.
Aw. But yeah, we saw Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
And I have to say, first of all, that I loved it.
It was funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's actually
the main thing I heard about it.
Actually, what I was going to bring up. The Thor movies have been my least favorite of the miniseries in the greater Marvel franchise. I like the second Thor better than Thor 1, and I seem to be in the minority there. I don't know why.
Really? That's a genuine surprise.
I actually, it's funny, I recall liking the first one more than the second one, but I could probably tell you more about the second one than the first one.
That's how it is with me. With the first one, he goes to Earth. Like with the first one, I don't remember a lot of the interactions he had with the normal people he met. I just remember he went to Earth, he was trapped in that facility, got out, adjusted to being a human, and everything like that. But like the second movie, it had some amusing character moments, like with Thor and Loki when they were back in Asgard and everything, and everyone's like, "Damn it, Loki, you're the villain. You pissed me off."
That's why I like
time.
it.
That was amusing, but like the main thing, like the main plot of that movie is like the most generic thing. I think I haven't seen every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, so I'm actually missing a lot. But at least of what I have seen, it is by far the most generic movie of what I've seen of the MCU. Like, who's the bad guy? A dark elf. Where is he from? The Dark Planet. What does he want to do? Spread darkness. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not my favorite, but I like the second one better. Because I find the first one to be pretty generic.
I think my least favorite movie in the MCU that I've seen, it's well, it might still
Avengers
be Iron...
2.
It might
Avengers
still
2 is pretty bad.
I haven't seen that.
I like
for
Avengers
me, it might
2.
be Iron Man 2, but Thor 2 is just like... Again, there were some good Thor Loki moments. That helped.
I like Iron Man 2 more than Iron Man 3.
I haven't seen 3. I actually have not seen many of the Marvel... I have not seen many of the Marvel movies. I've seen Captain America 1 and 2, Thor 1 and 2, Hulk, the only Hulk movie there is, an Avengers 1. I think that's actually... Oh, no. I've seen...
Guardians?
I've seen the first Guardians.
So you saw most of them, actually.
That's most of them? There's a whole other wave, though.
No, he didn't see Civil War. I didn't
see Avengers 2. I didn't see Civil War. I didn't see Ant-Man. I didn't see Doctor Strange. I didn't see Thor 3. I guess it's closer to half than I thought, but I'm missing a bunch. And I actually wanted to see Ant-Man. I just never did.
Yeah, and Uncle Woman.
Uncle Woman, yeah.
And an Uncle Woman.
Yeah,
anyway.
Wait a second. A female mailman. Yeah.
I have seen all of them except for Hulk. Which is kind of funny because
the old Hulk movie.
No, I haven't seen the MCU. Hulk,
the original Hulk movie.
The Edward Norton. I actually, a lot of people don't much care for it, and I get it. But I actually enjoyed it a bunch. I was kind of put off when I saw Mark Ruffalo in Avengers. I'm like, you're not Edward Norton. But of course, Mark Ruffalo freaking killed it. I loved him as it. But,
Mark Ruffalo in Thor Ragnarok is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's really funny.
I know that they kind of showed it on the trailers, but this was as much a Hulk movie as it was a Thor movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they're becoming more and more like that. Like Spider-Man Homecoming was also an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Like Civil War was not really just a Captain America movie. It was more like an Avengers movie, but they didn't want to call it one.
That actually surprised me. Like, I keep having to be reminded that it's called Captain America Civil War instead of just Civil War, because it's based on, I know there are lots of differences, but it's based on Civil War, you know?
Well, the movie's premise is a lot different than the comic book premise. The comic book
I am aware of that, yeah.
The comic book premise, just for anybody who doesn't know, like in Civil War, it was about registering like super powered beings in the MCU.
Yeah,
like, the government wanted
Mutant
to
Registration Act for the not X-Men.
Well, yeah, basically the government wanted to keep track of everybody, and Captain America thought it was un-American. It was actually really neat because usually Captain America is like, you know, a representative of the government as a whole.
Yeah.
And in this one, he chose to be the spirit of America rather than the...
Even in Captain America 2, like, he was very clearly disagreeing with certain things S.H.I.E.L.D. was doing. It's like, oh, with these crazy drones, we'll be able to see everyone at every time. It's like, you know, the Batman, the Dark Knight movie with the Joker, where he gets to see everybody on their cell phones, and Morgan Freeman's like, dude, that isn't even right. Like, and that was what Captain America's like, this is creepy, though. Like, freedom at the cost of, like, privacy of any kind, and you're being watched by Big Brother. Like, that's not what America's all about. So he was, even in Captain America 2, he was doing that ideology.
Yeah, well, you know, that's also coming from Civil War, because that happened years ago. Like, the original Civil War happened years ago. It happened when we were in college, like, about 10 years ago. So, like, Civil War 2 just happened. So just to give
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was with Captain Marvel, right?
Yeah, Captain Marvel and Iron Man were the two sides.
Oh, Iron Man again? God damn! Like, you just can't take a break.
Well, this one was about there was a Inhuman who could tell the future, and I believe it was something along the lines of, do we use this ability to arrest people before they committed a crime?
Oh,
so it's basically like Minority Report.
Yeah.
Well, here's a better idea. How about you predict how the end of the freaking Civil War happens, so you don't like have Civil War 2?
Well, I think I've brought this up before, but this is kind of like going off of the Captain Marvel series that I liked when I was in high school, where Captain Marvel basically went insane. You thought he was a villain because he was just doing like fucked up shit, and like people just didn't understand.
Yeah,
like,
if I kill this person, that'll save 10 people later, but only I know this.
Well, he kept doing that, and it kept fucking things up in the future, because the future always gets fucked up eventually. So, like, he basically learned that he only has to do things that make him happy.
Yeah.
So, because, like, it's inevitable that bad things will happen in the future, and, like, if you keep worrying about it, like, you're never gonna get anything done, and bad things are gonna happen anyway. Yeah. So, like, he basically had to learn that he kind of had to turn a blind eye to certain things, and that only his own wants and needs should be important to him. So he can't save billions of lives in the future just by, you know, constantly preventing like chains of events from happening.
Yeah, and if he does save billions of lives, he'll cost trillions of lives elsewhere.
Exactly. That was the whole argument. So anyway, I love this movie because I feel like it took a page from the Guardians of the Galaxy, in that, like,
that's what it looked like.
You know, you have like Batista's character of Thrax in Guardians.
Oh, Drax, yeah.
Or Drax, I'm sorry.
Drax, with his literalism.
Well, he is very similar to Thor in a lot of ways, in terms of personality.
That is true. Thor is very like, I'm gonna go fight the Frost Giants, until like Thor 2 he picks up a little bit, but apparently in Thor 3 he really kind of like is a human being.
yeah. No, he's not like an Asgardian caricature anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw in the trailer, he was like, "Oh, hey, Hulk, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while." It's just like, that doesn't sound like the Thor.
I know you from work.
He's a work friend.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, like, the characters all had personality, and the surroundings in Ragnarok were like it was just so much fun. Like they were in this arena. They were in World War Hulk, the basis of World War Hulk.
Yeah.
Or an inspiration, something that was inspired by World War Hulk, where Hulk is like a gladiator. and like the overlord there is Jeff Goldblum, and he's being the most Jeff Goldblum possible.
Yep.
Like
Let
he
the
embraced the Goldblum.
battles begin.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely like that.
Wait, he actually does the thing?
Yeah, no, the entire
what?
movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I knew he was Jeff Goldblum, but I didn't know he was Dr.
Like, to the
Ian Malcolm,
nines.
Jeff Goldblum.
So
No. He's like the most Jeff Goldblum.
That's amazing.
This isn't a spoiler, because the second stinger is complete comedy.
Yeah.
But did you see it, Vice? The second stinger.
Yes.
So this isn't gonna be spoiler. It's funny because he's like, something happens, and at the end of it, he's just like, let's just call it a tie. You're like, he lost, and he's like being surrounded.
But he just tells the people that it's a tie.
Yeah, and he's surrounded by the other group, and he's like, let's just call it a tie.
Yeah, I do kind of like that stuff. Like one person, like person A punches person B in the face, and then has to apologize. Like, well, okay, we both did things that we regret. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah, no, he is the most he is the caricature of Jeff Goldblum in your head in this movie.
Nice.
Yes.
Like
By the way, this is getting a little off topic, but one of my favorite Jeff Goldblum moments was when he was on some interview, and he's like, a lot of people ask me, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Jeff Goldblum or is it Jeff Goldblum? To which I answer, how dare you speak to me? It's like freaking good. It's like, that's so good.
I think that was a Conan O'Brien segment.
Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah. That's like I think that was Conan O'Brien's Secrets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite segments that he ever used to do. My favorite was the Gwyneth Paltrow one where she played a character in a movie called Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
Where she was a woman that had to dress up like a man.
Yeah.
To be able to be an actor.
Yeah,
in
because only
Shakespearean
men
time.
acted on the stages. So, like, it was common knowledge. Like, men would play women. That's just how it was. It wasn't like, oh, you're playing a girl. Like, that's just what happened.
Well, her secret in that was that actually I'm a man dressing up as a woman, acting as a woman acting as a man. Acting
Jesus
as a woman.
Christ.
So,
That's some next level acting.
So apologies to anybody who spanked it to me. It was just really funny.
No, actually, I will say my absolute favorite Jeff Goldblum moment I've ever seen. It wasn't really because of Jeff Goldblum, but, like, you know how some of the media has come under fire lately for, like, not really being the news? Like, they'll just take tweets they see and think that they're real, and they'll post, like, actual, like, just false information. But it's like, but this guy on Twitter said it, even though it was just, like, a shit post. Like, you know how that's become a thing?
Yeah.
A few years ago on the Colbert Report, this slayed me. This is back when the Colbert Report was, Colbert's show and not the Late Show. But there was an Australian news station of some kind that had gotten one of those fake pieces of information. It was one of those celebrity hoaxes. You know how whenever a celebrity dies, or whenever the internet says a celebrity dies, like, the first thing you do is go to a reliable news source and see if it's confirmed,
Sure.
just in case it's not some asshole messing with you on Facebook. So, like, somebody had said that Jeff Goldblum, like, had, I think it was, like, fallen out of a building or something while filming something in Australia or whatever, like,
Okay.
or while in New Zealand. So, like, and even the reporter was like, apparently, like, Jeff Goldblum, like, died in New Zealand. I don't know what he was doing in New Zealand, like, but, like, what made the whole thing so funny was that Jeff Goldblum, like, was, like, a special guest on the Colbert Report that day, so you just get to see this footage of Jeff Goldblum watching a news report of his own death. It's the most surreal fucking experience, like, ever. Like, it's so weird. Like, it was the funniest thing, because he's just, like, trying to keep a straight face, because it's like, obviously he's not dead. He's on TV, like, making this poor Australian reporter, like, look all the worse. It's just like, and he didn't know. He's not the researcher, he's the reporter. It felt so bad, but it was really funny.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this movie was pure comedy. Like, the whole thing was just like, even Kate Blanchett was funny in it. Like, and she's like the big bad guy in the movie. So
that's
like,
right, yeah.
Like, it was. I'm getting tired of kind of like world-ending events. Like, literally, this is a world-ending event. With Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But like, the stakes are not high when you keep doing it, and you know they're gonna win. So like, in this the ride is what you're there for. And
yeah, and I
like,
feel
the
like
actual actions.
they did it well because they didn't concentrate on the world-ending event. Like, obviously it was looming, but it wasn't a big thing the whole time. Like, it was the experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the movie, but I do have to give props to the villain for... I don't know how... Like, I guess I'd have to see the movie to contextualize this. I don't know how I feel about the villain also being goofy, but I will give props...
Well, she wasn't goofy.
Okay, well, funny in some way.
She was just snarky, yeah.
Okay, because I would say I will give props to the villain having a personality, because like the first wholesale like whoa movie was Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but like Ronan the Accuser, he could have been anybody. He just stood there and looked angry, and he had zero personality. And like Ronan is a scary guy in the comics, and he was a scary guy in Guardians in the sense that he could kick your ass, but like he was just such a nothing character, he's the purple guy with the hammer, I guess. Like, and if you don't know the comics, and I barely know who Ronan is, but if you don't know at all, you'll forget his name even was Ronan. Like, it's just like whatever. So at least Cate Blanchett was somebody,
Yeah, no, she was a memorable character. I mean, she actually like had a reason for doing the things that she was doing, and kind of actually had a point. Okay. In some ways, but like she actually had a personality. Like, I hate bad guys that are just evil for the sake of it. She was like, she was evil, but she was fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like she was having fun with the role, and being snarky, and I enjoyed the movie thoroughly because of stuff like this. And
thoroughly,
yes.
Oh God.
But Loki's always fun.
Yeah, Loki. I think their interactions were actually really good in this movie. The Thor and Loki interactions.
Yeah,
cool.
I actually like Loki's and the Hulk's. That interaction's
scene,
the best.
Because of Avengers 1, like, remember me?
Yeah, no, they literally call back to that literal moment.
So it was actually funny, because I was watching the movie with my girlfriend, and there's a moment in the arena, this isn't a spoiler, but because you see that Thor and Hulk are fighting, and Hulk does the thing where he grabs Thor and smashes him on the ground over and over again.
Really?
And I turned to my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, that's just like in Avengers 1. And immediately after, it goes to Loki. And Loki's like, ha! It like jumps up and goes like, ha! Now you know how it feels.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, that reminds me, Marvel's done this before. Remember at the end of that really cool fight scene in the Avengers, Thor and Hulk are standing next to each other, and for no good reason, Hulk just kind of goes like, boof, and he does like a side punch and just sends Thor flying. And it was just kind of like a little comic moment. There was, I don't know what it was, but one of the animated Marvel productions did that moment again, where Thor's standing next to Hulk, and Hulk just suddenly does a quick side punch, and Thor quickly raises his hammer and blocks it and just smiles, like not this time. Like, it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, there were several callbacks to the original Avengers, and just like even just like throwaway lines, like when Iron Man calls him Point Break. That's referenced in that.
Yeah.
There's quite a few things that were just really funny, and I think it felt like a Guardians movie because it was in space, I guess.
Yeah, it's a wacky team up in space.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just worked really well. And also there was like a really nice. They kind of made Thor like 80s metal, like, in a way, because they added hard rock to the soundtrack, and
Thor kind of the character. I mean, even though it's Norse mythology kind of is 80s
metal. Yeah, no. So there was a lot of 80s synth. Also, because there's like a lot of rainbows in Thor, so like there was like a lot of like robot unicorn attack kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and even the poster reflected the rainbow aesthetic.
So yeah, I mean, like, rainbows were always a thing, part of Midgard, and
yeah, and of course there's the Rainbow Bridge,
Asgard. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad they're embracing that aesthetic. I mean, Guardians is all about calling back to the 70s, but I love that this was calling back to the 80s and kind of like
cool.
like manly men kind of stuff too, like
Hokuto no Ken
stuff. Well, yeah, He-Man and like Hokuto no Ken, you know, just like Barry Bostwick, you know, flying on a fucking flying motorcycle kind of shit.
Yeah,
you know?
it's like here we go.
You know, just like pastels everywhere and Lisa Frank bullshit everywhere.
Lisa Frank is the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, but you know what I mean. Like, it's just really colorful.
Oh, by the way, this is going back a topic, but you were saying, like, you don't like it when villains are evil for evil's sake. On one hand, I agree. Just because I'm evil it's dumb. Like in real life, why would you want to do that? Because you're evil? Like, usually villains don't see themselves as evil unless they're full on, like, kill everybody. But, like, I will say, though, I understand if villains have motivations. Even if it's just, I want to conquer the world because I want to have the power of someone who's conquered the world. It's not even evil for evil's sake. It's just like, I'm going to rob a bank because I want $1 million. You know, like, there it is. What I am getting sick of, though, is making every single villain some kind of, like... I mean, multidimensional is good, but I'm sick of making every villain, like, this morally gray, like, oh, but you don't understand. Like, you know, like, even, like, fucking Maleficent. Like, I heard that movie was actually good, but, like, making Maleficent have a tragic backstory, oh, you don't understand. I'm like, no, she's fucking evil. She's the bad guy of Sleeping Beauty. The end. Like, I understand it. Like, her motivation is she's an asshole, and she wasn't invited to a party, so now she's a double asshole. Like, I don't need this tragic, like, oh, the world know what I am. Get the hell out of here.
We don't need to feel bad for the villain. That's not
like, oh, but you didn't understand the incarnation of evil wasn't always incarnate. Like, yes, she was. You know, like, her motivation could be basic. Like, I want there to be a motivation. It doesn't have to be because I'm evil. Like, because I'm an asshole could be a motivation. Because people are actually assholes and they could do things because they just want to be jerks.
There are people that are jerks.
Yeah, like that's not the most complex motivation. I wouldn't make you the next great American author, but it's believable. Like, you can be just a jerk. The end, you know. So like the bad guy of Thor Ragnarok, I don't know what her motivation is, but like, I'd be okay if it's just I'm an asshole. Like, as long as it's not I'm evil. You know?
She's the god of death.
Okay, so she's just doing her job then.
Yeah.
Well,
and we just don't like death.
Well, not only that, but she has a claim to the throne.
Okay, because I was going to say that's actually an ironic situation where you could make her not really a bad guy because death is absolutely necessary and you shouldn't fight death. Like, you don't like death, but it's understood, you know? I could see that working out. I'm not really the bad guy, but if it's a fight for the throne, I could buy that too.
She's a bad guy in the sense that she is the opposite. She's trying to usurp the throne from Thor.
Okay,
so,
fair enough. By the way, you do not want... I don't think... I mean, like, I guess... On one hand, Thor's like the god of lightning, and if he becomes king, he doesn't become like Lightning King. I understand that, but even with that knowledge, I don't know how much I would want the god of death ruling Asgard. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Well, in most stories, the god of death is more like a janitor than like a power-hungry being. Like, they're doing their job because somebody has to do it.
Well, yeah, the thing I think of most is Hades. He's just the guy who sits there and everything's miserable around him, and he's like, yeah, well, what'd you think would happen? And, like, that's kind of it. And even the Grim Reaper. Everybody's afraid of the Grim Reaper, but he is grim. Like, this shit is not fun. Like,
that's why I love the Grim Reaper's depiction in, like, the Discworld books. Because it basically is his job. And he loves doing it, and it's not like and he actually works with people at times too. He's like he talks to people when they're about to die, and it's
well, I really liked it in Incarnations of Immortality. You ever read those by Piers Anthony?
I haven't.
Oh, they're great.
I remember you talking about them before.
Yeah, with Incarnations of Immortality, like people, just dudes, like just random guys and girls on the planet become like they eventually take on the aspect of death, war, time, nature, etc. And like the death guy, like the guy who becomes the new death, he's not having fun with his job, but he actually has compassion and he will ease people into death, which is kind of cool of him. But I also kind of like this is something they kind of drop really early, but if you remember it, it gets weird. But like if you've ever watched Yu Yu Hakusho, did you guys watch that?
No, I remember Luminaire wanted me to get into that, but it was too Dragon Ball Z.
It does get to that point. It does. Yeah. The beginning of the series probably had the most heart, although it gets more fun later. But Death is just depicted as like this cute girl who wears pink and rides a broom, and she's always chipper. But the thing is that the show never really comes back to the fact that she's Death. She's just kind of like the person who's with the main character all the time. But it's like, wait a minute, aren't you Death? like the show doesn't just kind of drops it, but like it's still an amusing depiction.
I've always been partial to the depiction in the Sandman comics. Like Death is actually the most chipper of all of the Endless, out of and because like she knows what she's doing and gets satisfaction out of her job. She's not evil. She just has to do what she has to do, and in the end, she's going to be the only one left.
Oh wow! And we've discussed this before too, with especially with Pyro, with the Netflix Death Note movie. But the Shinigami, like the Death Gods in Death Note, they're just doing that's just a day at the office.
They're clerical work.
Yeah,
they're like accountants.
Yeah, I mentioned this before, but like when Light's like, my God, I have power supreme with this Death Note, and like all the Death Gods are looking at him and they're like, why is he excited about doing this mundane, boring work? It's just kind of amusing.
Yeah, they're basically accountants in like the Death Realm and don't like get any enjoyment out of it. Like
Light Yagami is not like running the world and making sure things are in balance. He's just like, I want this person to die. The Death Gods are actually doing a job, so they're like, eh.
Yeah. So anyway, so the 3 Marvel movies of this year, I have to say have been great. I kind of wanted to do a State of the Union of the Marvel universe, cinematic universe here, because the ones that have been released this year have been great. So I think Doctor Strange was the first one this year.
I really enjoyed that one.
That was surprisingly good. I thought that was going to be a clunker, and
that's
Ant-Man,
tough
it turned
because,
out better
like,
than I thought.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, obviously there's CG in all of the Marvel movies because some of the stuff you really can't reasonably do. But with Doctor Strange, like everything has to be CG. Like, please don't fuck this up. And apparently they really didn't.
No, it was great CG in that movie. And in fact, it was probably the neatest looking movie in the MCU at the time.
I remember the trailer really blew me away, and if you saw it in 3D, it was probably like whoa.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to say. Like as it progressed this year, all of the movies have looked beautiful. Like the MCU kind of was a little sterile like before this year. And and Doctor Strange like was the first one where I was like, wow, I love the visual design in this. And then Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was like, wow, it was like watching popcorn. Like it was just like crazy colors everywhere all the time. Like awesome, really awesome, neat things going on.
Even Spider-Man was pretty good, and that was not technically MCU. It is technically MCU, but that wasn't even Disney.
Yeah. And even with Guardians, like, I've only seen the opening credits, I think, because I was, like, in a video store of Volume 2. But, like, man, like, I mean, you said Thor had rainbows, but, like, that was color everywhere. Like, that was a look.
Yeah, so you know, the MCU movies this year were you know, Doctor Strange, and then it was Guardians 2, which is a contender for probably the best MCU movie. I love that movie.
Really?
Guardians 2 is awesome.
Because again, I'm missing out on a lot of Marvel movies so far. I know this. But so far for me, it's still Captain America 1.
No, Civil War is better than
I haven't seen Civil War. I've seen Captain America 1 and 2. I still think I like 1. Like the most out of all the ones I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, Winter Soldier is quite great too.
It really is. It really is. But I don't know. I just like 1.
But I just wanted to say that, and then it went to Spider-Man, which I thought was a great movie. It was, I think, not enough people watched it because of maybe when it came out, or maybe because like Spider-Man's been kind of diluted because there's been so many Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, it's been done too many times.
You know what we need to see is an origin story for Spider-Man. Well, I heard that the Homecoming kind of glossed over that. Thank God, because
they made it into a joke.
Yeah,
good, because like Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi one happened. And then Amazing Spider-Man happened, and that's after Spider-Man 3, to be fair. But it's like, dude, we know, it's like the Superman movies. Let me guess, Krypton blows up. Like, for God's sake, like, it's just ingrained into our culture now. Just give it a line. Remember that time your planet blew up? Just whatever. Just
that's how it happened. So like he's sitting there with his friend, and he's just like, "Really, a spider bit you? It can bite me."
Thank you.
And he's like, "No, it died," and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really don't need a whole scene. Like, a movie is, a finite length. I really don't need a good 15 minutes of that. Here we are in the spider room where we do experiments on them. Oh no! Now I'm caught in the room. All the spiders gonna bite. We know. There's
not even a mention of Uncle Ben in any of the MCU movies.
Oh, that's actually a bit of a surprise, actually, because that is Spider-Man's motivation. Again, just a line drop, but that is Spider-Man's like character. It's Uncle Ben. Yeah.
Well, they don't even he doesn't even say with great power comes great responsibility. They always allude to it.
Okay, because I was gonna say, as cliche as it is, you gotta throw it in there once. Like, you
I
kind of do need that for Spider-Man to exist.
The reason why they didn't really bring up the uncle is because really the purpose in this movie was Spider-Man trying to fit in with the other superheroes, so they didn't really need to have that part.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is about him being a kid, as well.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
like he's just like a normal teenager, like trying to look up to being a superhero, and they do that very well because even
so he looks up to the
stakes,
drunk, irresponsible man.
Well, like the stakes are low in Spider-Man Homecoming, and
no, that's good because Spider-Man stakes are usually low. Like, this isn't really from me. This is from Red Letter Media, but like Rich Evans and Red Letter Media was just like, Spider-Man's villains rob banks. They're super villains. They have superpowers. And they rob banks.
Like, you have the Shocker, like Mysterio. Come on,
yeah,
like,
the Rhino, like,
yeah,
it's like they rob banks, and like even a lot of Spider-Man's daily activities are like actual normal bank robbers, which apparently are like they were in the trailers. They're in Homecoming as well. He stops regular bank robbers, and it's like that's what Spider-Man does. He shoots webs, and he's stronger than you are. He's not gonna fight Thanos, but like, he could kick your ass. He stops bank robbers. There you go. He stops powerful bank robbers. Okay. And even the Vulture, he was like a really, really high level thief.
Yep. Well, that's what they make him out to be in the movie.
Yeah.
So he's not even really evil. Like, he's just like doing bad things, but he's not like he's not like trying to like destroy or rule the world. He's just making money by stealing things,
But that's what every other Spider-Man villain does. If I take this money, then I'll have more money. Like, all right.
Yeah, well, he's kind of like, this is my job. I'm a thief. Like he's not doing it because like he wants to do evil. He's doing it because that's his job.
No, yeah. Most Spider-Man villains want to rob banks. They want to kill that one guy. Or they want to kill Spider-Man because he stopped them the last time they tried robbing a bank.
Well, like, really, Green Goblin's the only psychopath, like, out of the bunch.
And even then, that's because Spider-Man, I think, stopped him the first time. Like, otherwise, he was just terrorizing, like, people who pissed him off.
Yeah,
like, he's already filthy rich. He doesn't need to rob banks.
Yeah, no, he's just, a guy, he's just insane.
Yeah, like, literally, because of the super soldier formula that, like, didn't work. So it's like, that guy pissed me off, I'm gonna murder him. And Spider-Man's like, don't do that. And then now they have a rivalry.
So and now you have Thor, like, being the fourth movie that just came out. Like, I loved all four of these movies, and
all four.
And then
all
like
four
even
of these.
with that, like looking.
Look at this.
Looking at the trailers for Black Panther, I'm so looking forward to that movie. Like, the music in that movie sounds amazing.
Yeah, I don't know much about Black Panther, but from what a lot of people say, he's a more charismatic Batman. Like, he's Batman who has his shit together.
Well, he's also like, he's also kind of like Tony Stark in that he is a public figure.
Yeah, he's rich and he's a king.
Yeah, like, people
and he
know
can kick
who
your
he
ass.
Is. Yeah, people know who the Black Panther is when they see him in costume. Like, they know who he's, like, the prince of Wakanda.
Yeah. Oh, the prince. Okay.
Oh, well, king. I don't know whether he's prince or king.
Oh, I don't know.
He's the leader of Wakanda.
Okay.
So it's. I'm really looking forward to that movie. That movie also looks gorgeous. I don't know if you've seen the trailers, but like,
that I have not. But I've heard like everyone who's seen anything about it is like, oh, so like the hype is there.
And like I said, the music is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to talk about how these movies are just getting better and better, and also, like, at the same time, I am not looking forward to Justice League at all.
Like,
it looks like shit.
When I watch the trailers, I'm like, I want to watch it, but not in theaters.
Like, my problem with Justice League is
good.
the same thing that it was when Batman vs. Superman came out. They're doing it backwards. Like, show me an Aquaman movie, and then when Justice League comes out, oh yeah, that guy I know. Like Black Panther. There's going to be a Black Panther movie. So when Avengers 3 happens, you'd be like, oh, Black Panther, that guy that was teased in Civil War, and that guy who I actually know who he is for real now. Now I actually have hype. But with Justice League, it's like, you know who Cyborg is, right? Like, well, maybe you do. Like Wonder Woman, okay, you probably knew who she was anyway. But Aquaman, you know his name, but what do you really know about him? And Cyborg, okay, now we're getting a little, like... Teen Titans isn't obscure, but, like...
I can say this, that Avengers has characters they haven't really brought up in other movies, right? You know, like Hawkeye is not... he doesn't have his own movie, right? Mm-hmm. And he probably never will.
But he's shown up in bit parts where it's like, okay, he's that guy. Like, I mean, like... Or at least they've teased characters. Like, they're not like, now for the big crossover starring this character, and you don't really know who he is. Like, Hawkeye... He's a really good archer. That's really all the Marvel Cinematic Universe has ever taught us. He's a super archer who was a soldier in some war with Black Widow. He's a really good archer. Like, we don't really need to know all this about him, but like Cyborg, he's gonna be like part of the main Justice League, isn't he? Like,
well, yeah.
Even in Avengers, Hawkeye kind of sat out of most of the beginning of it because he was like possessed, and then when they finally did get him, it's like, do your archery stuff to fight these bad guys, and he's like, okay.
So my major problem with it is that there is what Marvel does so well is that their dialogue is fantastic, and they can really make a fun movie out of anything because the plot isn't really important. Like, they're kind of... The characters are along for the ride in most of the instances.
The Avengers plot was generic as hell, but it was more of a character dynamic movie.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun to see, like, the dialogue and how they all the actors are fantastic. They really own the roles. So, like, they're really all having a fun time with it.
And
so
the funny thing is, I thought Thor 1 actually had one of the better plots in the MCU. It's just, like, the movie wasn't maybe as entertaining as others, but I thought it actually had one of the more clever plots.
I don't know. To me, I don't want to see him like just figuring out America. Like,
not that. I mean, no, that's true. I agree with you there. But I mean, like, Loki's motivation for what he was doing and the dynamic between Asgard and Midgard, I actually thought that was quite clever. Like, Loki's like triple cross, like, or whatever it was pretty awesome. And the reason he was doing everything made sense, and it was something I didn't expect.
Sure. Well, what I'm trying to say is the DCU doesn't do any of that well. Their dialogue is not fun. Their characters are not charismatic, and like they take it way too seriously, and they haven't. They've been relying too much on plot, and you know, in comic books, like, a lot of times that's not even why, like well, a lot of times that's not even why you're reading it.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of times comics are straight up stupid, and like they're supposed to be. I want to mention two things real quick. The first, I heard Wonder Woman actually had charismatic characters. Like Steve Trevor.
No, Wonder Woman is the only good movie in that. That and Man of Steel. Like, Man of Steel is good, but even if there's way too much Krypton in that movie, but everything else is good.
No, but the other thing I wanted to mention is actually you have a great segue into this. Comics are often like dumb as hell, but that's not why you're there. You're there to see like what happens, and you're on for the ride, like you said. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing, like, sometimes comics even lampoon themselves. Like, I remember seeing you might have seen this yourselves, guys, on the internet. Like, a screenshot of Spider-Man talking to Sauron, the Pteranodon villain, like the X-Men villain, like the green dinosaur, and Spider-Man is like trying to appeal to him, and Sauron's like, you know, with my crazy plan, I'll turn everyone into dinosaurs. You know, it's like the Gorilla Grodd plot in Justice League. Everyone's a monkey, so he's like, I'm gonna turn everyone into dinosaurs. And Spider-Man's like, but you're a genius. Like, with a mind like yours, you could cure cancer. And Sauron's like, but I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. And I'm like, that's hilarious. It's like, this is what I'm here for.
like comic books, like in the last like 20 to 30, like ever since the 80s, have been good about that.
But I think like another thing that maybe it's not true, and I'm just thinking about this, but from the Marvel comics I've read, from the DC comics I've read, I feel more DC comics take themselves seriously than Marvel comics anyway. So even though I think a lot of people are don't like the DC movies because they're so serious, it's not like they're much different from what the comics actually are. It's just not what they were expecting from watching a movie.
Here would be my response to that, though. I agree that DC takes itself more seriously. It has moments of levity, for sure, but in general, yeah, even Teen Titans is more serious than a lot of Marvel stuff. Like, it has goofy stuff because they're kids interacting, but it is generally more serious. I buy it. But here's where I start to split off. The DC movies, yes, they take themselves more seriously, but the problem with the DC movies is that all of them are Batman. And, like, even when, like Superman is Batman. Like, every movie is grimdark. Like, you can be serious without being oppressive.
Yeah,
DC comics are more serious, but they're not oppressive. Batman sometimes is, because that's what you get sometimes. But DC movies are just gray.
You're pointing out what I was gonna get at there with Justice League. Like, the entire city is destroyed in like their whole environment is destroyed in Justice League, just from looking at the trailers. Like, what is going on here? Like, Metropolis is supposed to be the day, and Gotham is supposed to be the night. So like there is distinct cities in the DC universe, and they have to be represented well.
Yeah, Metropolis.
Keystone City. There's
where's Green Lantern from? I know Green Lantern's not in Justice League, but where's he from?
Keystone City, like I said.
Oh, that was that one. Sorry.
Yeah. So like there are distinct places in the DCU, and they have to be. They aren't all one place. You know, they're different.
Batman
ecologies.
is always in Gotham, but except for when he's with Superman, in which case everything is Metropolis. Usually,
yeah, because Superman, like, it doesn't really exist in Gotham, but Batman can exist in Metropolis.
Yeah,
it's just like one of those things. Like nobody else goes into Gotham other than the Batman.
Yeah.
Right? Although, by the way, I will say this, though, to the movie's credit, it looks like it actually has color, which is nice, and the poster pops, which is nice. Thank God for that.
Yeah, but I'm guess I'm just like what I'm saying here is in Batman versus Superman, they did not represent like Metropolis well in that. Like, you know, it was at night the whole time. Like, what are you doing?
That's actually a good point.
Metropolis is the day.
Metropolis is very rarely at night.
Yeah. No, its depiction is supposed to be like a shining beacon, like every other city wants to be. And even when
Metropolis is at night, like, that's when, like, usually it's normal nighttime stuff. Like, villains tend to do stuff during the day.
It's all about blue skies. It's like a Sega game, you know. Like they're.
Oh, and by the way, this calls back to what I was saying earlier about DC doing things backward, like the cart before the horse. You know, the crossover before the characters. Also, in terms of plot, like you were saying, they're not representing cities, but even the city that is there, like the Justice League is starting in the post-apocalypse. Like, you're not getting any example of, like, you know, I'm the Flash, and here I am to save Metro City. Like, watch me as I stop criminals, haha. And, like, now I'm gonna join the Justice League. Like, everything's grimdark from the beginning in your big forces of positivity crossover. Like, Wonder Woman is like this beacon of hope and justice. Like, and she had her own movie, which made sense. But, like, now it's like, now join up with Superman and Batman and the Flash, and it's like, to protect what? The debris? Like,
yeah. So Wonder Woman was good because it's a similar movie to Captain America, the first one.
Yeah.
It's similar in structure and also in plot and also aesthetics. So it's kind of, they're both similar movies, but that was a good thing to emulate because, like, Wonder Woman basically is like DC's Captain America. She pretty much is him,
and she didn't even need to be frozen. She just, like, lived until 2017.
Yeah, but she like what was good about that movie was that there was plenty of great dialogue in that. Like there was there was a lot of fun moments and a lot of fish out of water kind of stuff. But they even did it better than Thor, if you ask me. So like the fish out of water
that's
stuff.
true. Well, yeah. Well, Wonder Woman. Well, the difference is Wonder Woman had to. Okay, both of them were culture shock, yes, but like Wonder Woman knew like how you like. Well, I don't know if she had a restaurant scene, but, you know, Thor was like, haha, like, I drank this beer and I'll throw the cup to the ground. I actually did like that scene, but it did look like it was pushing too hard. He doesn't understand what happens. Like, I actually really did like that scene, but at the same time, like, you know, Wonder Woman knows how to talk to people. It's just, it's a different culture. It's like if you go on vacation, it's like if you travel to another country or something. It's like, well, let's see how these people do things. You know, like Wonder Woman's story was more like that rather than Thor, which is like, Earth doesn't spend its time fighting monsters and shit. Like, so what do you do with yourself?
Yeah. But you know, I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of rolling my eyes at it because the movie leading up to this wasn't good. You know, Batman versus Superman wasn't good, and then the one in between, you know, the Suicide Squad wasn't good at all. In fact, that's probably my least favorite superhero movie probably
I haven't seen that one yet.
To be fair, I think Suicide Squad fell to the cutting room floor after the negative responses trailers got. They reshot a bunch of stuff, so like that movie was destined to not end up well. For Batman versus Superman though, they combined all the plots. It's called Batman versus Superman, and if you blink, you'll miss Batman versus Superman. And then fucking Doomsday? What? Like Doomsday
and also Dark Knight Returns a little bit in there. Like
like Doomsday had his own like 4-part comic series. Like let's throw him in at the end of this Batman versus let's throw him in at the end of this Dark Knight Returns movie. Excuse me?
Doomsday's entire saga like takes up like 3 or 4 years of Superman comics, and like I have like all 3 trade paperbacks of what like him plus like everything that like he caused. Like is 3 big trade paperbacks. Tons of Superman comics dealt with it, and it also like destroyed like it left a gaping hole in the DC universe as a whole.
Well, that's the thing.
It's a big thing.
Well, that's another thing that bothers me. You can't allow that because these are movies. You got to make the next movie. But like when Superman died, yes, Metropolis was destroyed. That made sense in Batman versus Superman. But Metropolis stayed destroyed, and people remain depressed. Superman is missing. Like we really felt the death of Superman. We figured he'd come back eventually because he's like a flagship DC character. But like Superman was dead. Whereas with the movies,
and Batman was in bad shape at the time too.
Yeah,
that was when he had his back broken.
Yeah, and like with Batman versus Superman in the movie though, you gotta have Superman in a Superman movie, so like there was like killing Superman felt really hollow. Again, in comic books they always come back. They do. But like Superman's dead, next movie he's back. Like come on.
There's no stakes.
And you knew it couldn't have gone any other way. There's no way it could have.
You also knew that we knew that the Justice League movie was already on its way out. So like
with comic books, you can have a little bit of leeway, but like moviegoers would flip out if there's no Superman in the Superman movie. Like
Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman need to be all 3 of them need to be in the Justice League. If they aren't, then it's not the Justice League. Like
and again, what you were saying with Doomsday was even the build-up was insane. Like I remember there were a whole bunch of more minor DC characters that I like don't even know the names.
Oh yeah, and they all got fucked up.
Yeah, and it's like Marvel's Secret Wars. Like there's all these weird characters you haven't heard of, but like so I get why they. Well, I get why they wouldn't put them in, but the thing I most distinctly remember, or one of the things I most distinctly remember about the Doomsday miniseries was that, like, before Superman got involved, like 1,000 heroes were like, this is when Doomsday, you don't know what he looks like yet, he's in his suit, and he's got these gigantic manacles on, and he's still beating the shit out of everybody with, like, 2-handed blows and with his feet, and eventually the superheroes get this super beam, they're like, let's all combine our powers and hit him with it as hard as we can, and all that did was break his manacles, and like you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like now we actually made him more powerful because we didn't do enough damage to hurt him, and his manacles were not strong enough to withstand our attack, so we basically made things worse. It's like, how are you gonna fight Doomsday?
Yeah. And he blew Blue Beetle in a coma and destroyed Booster Gold's suit. which is his power.
Oh, I didn't actually know. He fucked. I don't remember Blue Beetle, but he fucked Booster Gold up. Like,
yeah,
he did a Yakuza move on him. Like, he did a Yakuza 5 move on him. Like, he opened a car door, put Booster Gold's head in the car, and slammed the door. Like, that shit was uncomfortable to look at, and it was just like 2 pictures.
It's one of the most violent moments in comic books that I remember.
With no blood.
Yeah,
like
it was distinct in my head as a child.
It was just like it was just a picture that wasn't even like a kid could look at it, but like I was just like, ooh, like looking at it, I'm like, that you don't walk away from that. Not to mention it's Doomsday. Like, a human doing that would fuck you up for life. Like, in fact, in Daredevil, I think the Kingpin actually fucking decapitated somebody with a car door.
Yeah,
Doomsday slamming it on you? Are you kidding me? The guy who killed Superman? Like, Jesus Christ.
So when I read that when I was a kid, I like. The superheroes in that universe had never been abused like that.
Yeah,
and so like reading that, you really get the impact. Like, I didn't know really who Booster Gold was, but I know that he's like a strong superhero. So
yeah.
Like when I see that and like the aftermath of the devastation, like everybody's bruised and there's like sores all over them from fighting this guy.
Yeah. And I also remember some character I've never heard of get like thrown some distance, and you see some random person in their house in like their kitchen, and some superhero comes crashing through the window, and they're like, ah! And it's just like you just don't see that happen. Even in the big fights where everyone's flying through buildings, even when they do go through buildings, it doesn't look like that. And you're just like, God damn, like this is not going to go well for anybody. Like basically the entire DC pantheon has to sit this out. Like it's Superman or nothing.
Yeah, what I mean here is the DC universe doesn't until Wonder Woman didn't really get dialogue, and their visual presentation isn't good, and they don't understand what's important about their stories, and that's bad because DC potentially has the best stories of any comics.
It does,
like,
yeah.
I love DC Comics. I'm actually a bigger DC fan than I am a Marvel fan. I started off as a Marvel fan when I was a kid because I was a big Venom and Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, that's me basically.
and then X-Men when the cartoon came out, I liked them. But
and then Season 5 came out, and you're like, I'm DC now.
But then the Batman animated series just kind of springboarded me off into Batman land, and all the Vertigo comics and DC comics. And all the really great writers.
And again, I don't know, like, at this point, there's basically, like, a new generation. Like, we're 30 now, so I don't know how many people, like, a lot of people missed the Batman animated series. It was on when we were kids. And I don't know if people really appreciate, like, Harley Quinn's existence, Mr. Freeze's tragic backstory, those aren't even from the comics. Those are from the cartoon. Those are from the Batman animated series. Like, it was so good, it permanently
the Condiment King
influenced... Yeah, great. It permanently influenced the comics.
Sure.
And speaking of Harley Quinn, by the way, one thing about Suicide Squad, speaking of not getting their stories right, Suicide Squad seems to kind of, like, glamorize the Joker and Harley's relationship. And, like, no, that shit is abusive as hell. Like, even when they're having a good time together, like, you're like, yeah, but it's the Joker. Like, this is a guy when... Like, I remember the Joker, there was an episode of the cartoon where the Joker had these fish that he had, like these piranha-looking things, that he had given his laughing gas to. So they had these giant grins. But he was really bothered because he's like, I want to dunk Batman in a tank full of these things. But, like, something about the grins comes off wrong or whatever, or it made the fish look angry. No, I think if the fish looked angry, like, didn't look right. And he's like, but I want them to be grinning because I'm the Joker. How do I get Batman to, like, see these grinning fish? And Harley Quinn was like, well, you could hang him in the tank upside down. And the Joker just flips out, and he's like, it's not funny if you have to explain it. And he throws her out of, like, a 2 or 3 story window and puts her in the hospital. And it's like, Jesus. Yeah. And the episode ends with Harley, like, going like, that's it, I'm done with the Joker. Like, he threw me out a goddamn window. And then you see, like, a bouquet of flowers with, like, this really elaborate card that says, like, I'm sorry. And she, like, forgives him after that. And it's like, that's really fucked up. And, like, in Suicide Squad, it didn't... The Joker was clearly not Boyfriend of the Year, but I don't think the movie pushed hard enough, like, how awful the fact that they have this relationship is.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I think the Marvel movies get it, and the DC movies just don't yet. And you know, Wonder Woman's been great. It was a good movie. But anyway, I hope that they treat these properties right eventually, is what I'm saying here. I also, you know, I'm looking forward more and more to every Marvel movie because I think they're just improving in general. They're keeping going, which I thought they would burn out.
Yeah,
eventually.
peter out.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they've just been good.
For me, I could still take them or leave them. I'll happily watch them when they're on TV. The main exception I would make to this is Avengers 3, because I've been waiting for Avengers 3 since Avengers 1. I want to see Infinity War really badly.
That's actually not an Avengers movie. That's going to be its own movie. Yeah.
Fine. I want to see Infinity War. Like,
right.
I want to see it bad. I hear it's going to be 2 parts, which makes sense. Infinity War is huge, but, like, that I've been waiting for this the whole time. Speaking of which, by the way, like, again, with DC doing things backwards, every Marvel movie has, like, before you even knew about it, teased the Infinity Stones. Like, the Tesseract from Thor, the Vision's gem in Avengers 2, like, but did you know they were the Infinity? It's like, okay, so, like, it's been building up this entire time. It's been subtle. Thanos has been, like, right there in the open in, like, Guardians 1, but, like, the buildup is real, and it's actually been relatively subtle. It's not like one of the Infinity Stones. Like, if you get it, you get it. But, like, they've been setting up the Infinity Wars for, like, how old are Marvel movies now? Like, a decade?
Well, the
yeah,
Iron Man.
over a decade.
Yeah.
So, like, original Iron Man didn't, but, like, original Thor, right?
Hulk was the first movie.
Hulk was
Hulk and then Iron Man right after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so yeah, Hulk did not. Iron Man, I don't believe, did. I forgot if Thor did it or if Avengers 1 made you aware that that's what that was, kind of, the Tesseract. But, like, this has been a slow burn. Like, I gotta give props for that, because that's not easy to do. It's not just, like, it's a slow burn, wait 3 years for the next movie. They've been pumping out, like, 15 Marvel movies, and it's still a slow burn. Like, that's not easy. Like, props for that. Even though I haven't even seen, like, half the movies. Like, that's really impressive.
Absolutely. Well, you know, before this gets any longer in the tooth, you know, I think we made our points here. That's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps us promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast about our lives and pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as VyseTheBold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and Twitter.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. And you can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, or even selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, then perhaps consider tuning into my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me as PyroJackFrost or Cloudoid540 on various gaming media.
All right. We'll catch you on Tuesday, guys.
All right.
Until next time, everyone.
Good night.